and I had a fantasy about being able to be with a female and control her. I was never good at being a male. I tried for my family. I became codependent and a huge people pleaser and ignoring my needs. This led to even more damage in my life. Um, I I saw the girl on her bike. I kidnapped her. I sodomized her. I threatened her, and I wanted to feel that power over her. Unfortunately, this has haunted me for the rest of my life. Um, I'm sorry for what I did.
Good morning. We're on the record now. This is the time set for a rehearing for Terrance Gallegos. Is that you?
Yes, yes, sir.
And do you go by Terrance?
I go by Tara.
Tara?
Yeah, I'm transgender.
Right. How would Terra?
Tarra.
And do you prefer Ms. Gallegos?
Yes,
All right.
please.
My name is Blake Hills. I'm a member of the Board of Pardons and Parole, and I've been assigned to conduct the hearing.
Okay.
I need to swear you in, so please raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you will give will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can keep your glasses on. You don't have to. Better for you to be able to see.
Yes.
Did you receive at least 7 days written notice of the hearing?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive a blue disclosure packet?
Yes, sir.
And recently there was a psychosexual evaluation. Did you receive that
Yes, sir.
from Dr. Malm?
Yes, sir.
Are there any issues with the disclosure materials, or were they generally fine?
No, they're accurate. You know, she crossed her T's and dotted her I's, and uh, the whole packet is accurate. I've read it a couple times.
Okay. You ready to go forward, or do you need?
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I've been ready for a long time.
You read the blue packet where it describes the offenses, I imagine.
Yes, sir.
Is that an accurate description of the offenses, or is there anything you need to change?
No, that's pretty much it.
Can you tell me why it happened?
Um, so my childhood was pretty difficult, and when I told about being a little bit different, um, I knew so from the beatings. I was um, pretty much abused my whole life until the age of 18, when I was able to decide for myself to stay or leave. Um, Growing up in a strict Catholic family was not healthy for me, because there was abuse, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and not being able to be me. In 1978, when I said something about it, it was unheard of, um, especially in my family. And I was never able to understand fully what it was to be male, because of all these feelings that were going on inside. I've gotten married a couple times to try to bring home a woman to satisfy um, my father, and it worked, but it wasn't good enough for me. I felt like I had no power and I had no control over my life. That being the people pleaser that I was for so many years, since I was a kid. I mean, even at the age of 12, when I did something wrong and my father hit me in the head, and the next day I had a seizure. Um, when I went to the doctor, I was told to say I jumped off one of the bunk beds. I At that time I didn't understand why. There was a lot of like values and traits that were not given to me as a child. I did not know a lot of them as an adult until I came to prison. I was up for days on meth, and I had a fantasy about being able to be with a female and control her. I was never good at being a male. I tried for my family. I became codependent and a huge people pleaser and ignoring my needs. This led to even more damage in my life. Um, I I saw the girl on her bike. I kidnapped her. I sodomized her. I threatened her, and I wanted to feel that power over her. Unfortunately, this has haunted me for the rest of my life. Um, I'm sorry for what I did. I will never do this again. Whether I'm released or not, I'm not the same person that I was when I first came in here. And I know now truly what empathy is. Um, and I've taken care of a lot of my past. When you ask me if I had several days to prepare, it's been a roller coaster, but I need to say that it's also been a roller coaster since I came in, realizing what I've done. In November of 2005, I was drugged and raped here in Draper. And that's when I started learning about empathy. Before that, I didn't know what it was. Um, I put myself in the shoes of the victim, her family, my family, society, friends. And every night before I go to bed since then, it's always been prayers for forgiveness.
Let me ask you if I could see these video screens. This is being broadcast online. I do not know if anyone from the victim's family or the victim is watching, but if they are, is there anything you would want to say to them?
Yes, I am so sorry. There's nothing I could ever do to repay for what I did. I'm so happy that I was taken off the street and away from drugs. I have been clean for a long time. I have transitioned from SOTP and I have graduated from the ASAP drug program conquest. My time here has been difficult, but not as difficult as yours. And if I could, I would just take it back. Um, I never meant to cause any harm. So many times I have wanted to kill myself over this, and I haven't. I've learned to live with it. I've learned to pray and ask for forgiveness from you guys, from your family, from my family. I don't have much family no more, and I just pray that someday you'll be able to forgive me.
You said you agree with the psychosexual evaluation.
Yes.
Is there anything that you disagreed with?
No. I was pretty honest. Lately, I've been pretty honest and pretty transparent. Um, not only with myself, but with staff, with um, the therapist, the doctor that gave me the evaluation. I was upfront, honest about everything. I did as good as I could on the test. Um, everything is accurate.
You mentioned participating in programs. You willing to talk to me about those?
Yes, I was.
First,
Which one?
first, first, let's talk about SOT and then we'll talk about drug treatment after that. So
Okay.
As far as the SOTP, which for anyone watching is the Sex Offense Treatment Program, did you think that was worthwhile, or was it something to just put in time to keep you from getting bored?
No, I've learned a lot of values, a lot of principles doing that program.
Tell me which ones.
I've learned how to have integrity for myself. I learned how to have motivation for myself and for the things I do. I learned how to accept the changes, whether they were uncomfortable or not. Um, I've learned how to be transparent, be honest, take accountability for what I've done, be responsible, and hold myself to a higher standard. Um, the principles um, that I've learned is just that what I've done was wrong. What was done to me was wrong. My childhood was wrong. But I wake up every day and I think about the abandonment issues and the rejection issues that I've had. And I've gotten rid of them with being self-sufficient, having self-motivation for myself. I can no longer stand in the foundation that had so many cracks when I was a child that I took as an adult as well. And since coming here, the change has been magnificent. Whether I'm released or not, I will continue this change because the change has been good.
Let me ask you if I could. These things that you mentioned that you learned in sex offense treatment, I'm sure you recognize this crime was absolutely horrific, right?
It was heinous.
How has what you have learned going to affect your behavior in whether this sort of thing happens again? In other words, did you learn anything about committing the crime and how to prevent those thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors in the future?
Yes. The first thing that I have learned is I needed to get my addiction under control. So in 2015, uh, March of 2015 was my last write up. My first and only write up for having a negative UA, for having a positive UA. Um, and that was my first step right there was as I signed the addiction, um, a substance abuse free contract while in SOTP. I got the write up after I completed SOTP. I take full responsibility because it was uh, I ran out of time for the UA to happen. They give you 2 hours, and I ran out of time. I took responsibility for that, and then right afterwards, when I went to the board, they wanted to send me to Conquest. The second thing I learned was I learned to get my substance abuse under control. I have done that. It's been proven. I've had a lot of UAs. They've all been negative. So the second thing I learned from SLTP was to be accountable, to know that I'm not the only one who counts, to think of others. The third thing I learned was the most huge one that I could ever learn, and that was having empathy for others. That's when I actually started caring not only about myself, but putting others' needs of empathy first, knowing that people are people, they hurt too. Um, I learned my triggers. My triggers are being around my family, um, seeing them. My risk factors are taken that step towards being back in my addiction, being around my family members again who are in addiction. My family members are not healthy, and that's why I'm choosing to not be involved with them. Having a phone call is fine, but the first time that I hear anything um, that my triggers or my risk factors recognize, I will immediately hang up. I have done this. I've been doing this while being here in this prison, in this new facility. I think the fourth thing that I've learned for SOTP is to stay my path of change, to know that, you know, I can make amends and I can move forward, and that I needed to forgive myself. Be transparent, be honest, disclose everything that I've ever done, um, and accept everything that I've ever done that has been bad. There's a lot of things that have happened to me that I have not talked about in therapy. With Clint Shumway, I was in therapy with him the longest. I disclosed a lot, but there's a lot of other things that from my childhood that are really, really hard to relive. And so therefore I am continually to uh, uh, help have mental health in my life. Um, Talking to others about the things that have happened to me, but there's sometimes, mental health right now is a struggle to get to because there's not very many workers.
Right.
And it's really, really hard to disclose some of the things I've went through and trust another inmate with that information, um, because not everybody's honest here.
Sure. I want to make sure we have time to talk about Conquest. So tell me what you learned in Conquest, if anything.
Conquest to me was awesome. I passed every UA that I was given there. Um, I admitted my drug use. I admitted that I kidnapped and sexually assaulted, molested, and threatened a young girl, a child. Um, and I was able to admit that in an open group of 12. I think at that time I was the only one in that group that was on a sex offense as well as drug charges. And that was very hard. That was hard to overcome. It's hard to admit something like that to a non-sex offender. And I was okay. I I didn't feel like my safety was in danger. I accepted it. Um, I didn't walk with my head to the ground. I held my head up high because I took accountability for what I did. I accepted what I did. But I think the most thing that my biggest accomplishment there was I had a really good therapist in Miss Carlisle. And we had one-on-one therapies. I was given 2 hours a week instead of one for one-on-ones because of some severe mental health issues. Um, and I was able to write a letter to my father. My father passed away in 2005. I'm over there in 2017, 2018, and 2019. I spent a lot of time there. I liked the environment of so much positivity. It felt like a bit of freedom in society. I was able to write this letter to my father because there was a lot of things that was done that I wasn't able to tell him and disclose to him while he was alive. And that haunts me. It haunted me until I wrote that letter. It was a long letter. And it was so good that I had a therapist to recognize this. That was the biggest thing that I was able to get off my chest. And that was one of the big ones to rid myself of wanting to use, wanting to addiction in my life. I mean, don't get it wrong. I mean, I want to say that the there's drugs all over the place in here,
Right.
all over. It's nonstop. I mean, I'm being honest about that. And I have chosen a path to keep my change of growth going for myself. And addiction, me messing up my sobriety, is not part of that. It's not part of the plan.
All right. Let me tell you, we're almost out of time. We have about 2 minutes left. I appreciate you answering my questions. Is there anything we have not talked about that the board needs to know?
Um, my current write-ups, I want to explain that.
Okay,
So I am not. I just want to explain that real quick.
the fighting one
The
and,
fighting one.
Okay.
I have become a beacon of light for the gay and transgender community here in this prison. This prison is a lot different because they house us with everybody, gang members, everybody. And there's a lot of abuse that goes on here. There's a lot of injustices that go on here. And it's hard to go to the officers and tell the officers because the word gets around. Then your safety's in danger to walk the corridor, to go to your class, or to go to the chapel. And so my biggest thing has I've kept my safety by not pushing the button, by not speaking. And so a lot of these I if you look at my record from Draper and the write-ups I had there to my record here in this new prison, in Draper, we had a place to go. Everybody who wanted to do good had a place to go that housed all the workers. I was housed in areas for all that time, still being able to be my nickname in here, which they call me Mama T, because I look out for people, even the non-gays. I believe that everybody should be able to use the phone. I believe that everybody should not have their blue packet and you have to read it to somebody else so they could charge you rent. I believe in that. And if I am released, my fears are that this community here that I have built in Bear Forest Section 7, which there are a lot of gays and a lot of transgenders in there. Um, I have I have turned that into a safe haven for others to live without fear of being bullied. And I just hope that if I am released, that somebody will step up. Well, my write-ups are because I have defended others, not because I was trying to defend myself. This last write-up, I pleaded guilty because I was in fact guilty, but there's an explanation behind it. And I gave the IDHO hearing officer my explanation, so it's there
okay.
of why I did what I did.
Defending yourself.
I was defending others and the right for somebody to live in that section that was gay.
Okay. Thanks for telling me that. We're out of time
Okay.
now. But let me tell you, you already know you don't receive an answer here today.
Yeah.
At least 3 members of the board must agree on what comes next, whether it's a rehearing, parole, or something else. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
That could happen within a few weeks. It could be a month or more. It's not possible to give you an exact date.
Okay.
Any questions about that process?
No, I just wanted you to know. I know we're out of time. We're probably not being recorded anymore. That my support has never been stronger than it is right now. I have a letter from Suncrest to be accepted into their program, and they are um, recognized by APNP. I did good on my psychosexual evaluation. I have a place to live. I have a job waiting after a little bit of time of adjusting. And I put in there that my number one support system is going to be my AP&P agent and AP&P in itself. And I'm going to utilize that for the good of me to keep my change going if I am released.
All right. Thanks for telling me that and
Okay.
talking to me, and we'll conclude the hearing at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, I am happy to tell you that they denied his parole. Okay. It was denied, and he will have a rehearing in 2029. And, like, frankly, can you imagine a more self-serving parole hearing? Oh, what was me? I only had the fighting right up because I was protecting others. I'm a stand-up here in the community. Even like the manipulation, you have to listen to it closely and be very familiar with these parole hearings, talking about the failed a drug test while locked up, and it was, it was only failed because I didn't complete the test within this 2-hour period. And it's like, no, that's how the tests work. You have to pee in a cup, and if you don't within 2 hours, it's a fail. So when you refuse to, that probably means something. Have you ever heard a more self-serving hearing? I mean, we hear a lot, so it's not like, on the Richter scale, it's not over there. It goes up there with what we're accustomed to. But it's all about me, 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 my feelings, my pain, my suffering. A 12-year-old child. I wanted to know what it was like to dominate a female. Wow, that makes that really adds up to your whole story over here, doesn't it? I guess you could have joined the women's swimming team. That would have been good domination for you. Oh, Mandoo, how dare you? Where is your compassion? Where is your empathy? I don't know. Maybe I can learn empathy. Maybe I can learn empathy from Mama Terra. Maybe I have a few programs I can take. It's just, I'm just stunned. It's like I don't even care, Like, what are you talking about? Twice married, going. Then one day, you know what? There's a 12-year-old delivering newspapers. So I'm gonna go look at what was done to this child. Terrance Scott Gallegos pled guilty and was immediately sentenced 15 years to life for abduction and assault of a 12-year-old newspaper carrier. The victim's mother said her daughter has bounced back, and listen to this, she did bounce back, maintaining straight A grades, interacting normally with her brothers and sisters, and continuing her newspaper route. The girl still delivers newspapers to the house where she was attacked. The house is still occupied by this man's wife and children. Because I just wanted to shut up. This was written in 2003. She was on her route last June when Gallegos called to her about getting a subscription. Come, I want a newspaper. Prosecutor says he dragged her into the home, bound her arms behind her back with an electrical cord, and blindfolded and gagged her with socks before assaulting her of a sexual nature. Gallegos pled guilty Tuesday before the 2nd District Judge Pamela and asked to be sentenced immediately. Pamela Hefferson asked why. Gallegos said, I'm tired of Weber County. They don't treat their inmates well. Not, I want to be sentenced quickly because what I did is horrible and justice. No, I'm tired. Defense attorney John Kane said his client has no prior offenses involving sex. I think the public ought to know that. DNA evidence clinched the case with a victim's saliva found on Gallegos' sock and semen found in her clothing. And for any of you yelling at me, Mandoo, how dare you misgender this child sexual, here's the newspaper. Inmate convicted of kidnapping. This is written just recently, a few days ago. A man convicted kidnapping and sexually assaulting a young girl delivering newspapers 120 years ago is now seeking parole. Okay, so I guess if you're going to go and attack me, then you can go and attack the newspaper. You can go and attack the prison system. You can go and attack them but you know what? I think really everyone's just tired of being attacked about this kind of stuff. Today, Galagos tends to be known as Mama T in the cell block and has become a beacon of light for the incarcerated gay and transgender community, standing up against abuse and injustice. Isn't that ironic? You know, it's a good day for those that need to be stood up for, because hey, at least he's still there to be able to stand up for them. And I want to point out, I couldn't, you know, if I had a friend of mine that was transgender, I would say, sure, I'll call you whatever pronoun you want. If you want me to call you a turtle, I'll call you a turtle. But if you are not my friend, if you are someone who does this to a child and now you want me to call you by your desired, no, I'm not going there. That's just not where I'm going. Okay. I couldn't care less though what you want to identify as. I couldn't care less. I don't know what else is there to say. I don't even know if I'm gonna if I'm what I, at least it's like, the interesting thing is I learned to feel empathy. At least there was some, I guess, acknowledgement there. I don't think there was any empathy. I think it was maybe an understanding what empathy should be, and this idea that this is what empathy should sound like. But I don't believe there is any empathy. I don't believe you can't, and even I've spoken to people that claim to have struggled with empathy, and they say, look, it's you can learn, you can work on yourself, but I don't think you can ever truly, right? Can you ever truly teach someone empathy? Maybe they can get to a certain level of understanding, like what they should sound like, but I didn't see anything there. Anyways, I hope that this person serves out the full sentence. EOS, let's see what it was, of technically it's 2102 is the full term date, June 22nd, 2102. But another rehearing will take place in 5 years. And thank you, Sir Richard, for the information on this case. With that, I'll let you go.
And I had a fantasy about being able to be with a female and control her. I was never good at being a male. I tried for my family. I became codependent and a huge people pleaser and ignoring my needs. This led to even more damage in my life. I saw the girl on her bike. I kidnapped her.